Greetings, everyone. This Ring Chronicles production is going to tackle a top 10 list that is larger than life. Inspired by all the recent hate towards my size in the comments section, which in case you have not noticed, I am fat, I felt that all the hate towards fat people is a bit ironic, given that there are quite a few wrestlers who are super heavyweights. Therefore, we present to you the top 10 fat and or plus-sized wrestlers of all time. Number 10, we begin the list with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe tips the scale at an amazing 282 pounds. Despite his size, he has been known as one of the most agile big men in wrestling history. His great in-ring performance has allowed him to achieve fame in Ring of Honor, NXT, the WWE, and now AEW, where he is at this time the AEW World Heavyweight Champion. While this list focuses more on wrestling history, we could not leave such an amazing competitor off the list. Therefore, Samoa Joe ranks in at number 10. Next, we have our plus-size competitor and only woman to make the list, Awesome Kong. What would the Knockouts division be in TNA without Awesome Kong? Tipping the scales at a whopping 273 pounds, Awesome Kong's size and strength catapulted her in a division that at the time was dominated by much smaller competitors due to an emphasis on appearance than raw power. Awesome Kong put a lot of her opponents in place with moves like the Implant Buster. Next at number 8, we have Bam Bam Bigelow. The former ECW champion headlined many pay-per-views including WrestleMania 11. Alas, Bigelow, at an amazing 390 pounds, could do moves that men half his size could only dream of. While I will never agree with the decision to have Bigelow job to Lawrence Taylor, his willingness to do what was needed for the business proves how professional Bigelow was. And his in-ring ability was so good that even Bret Hart gave Bigelow props for being one of the best in-ring big men in the industry. He could even do a moonsault. At number 7, we have Rikishi. Tipping the scales at an amazing 425 pounds, Rikishi entertained fans with his dance moves and the stink face. In this move, Rikishi would rub his mostly bare end from wearing sumo gear into the face of his competitors. I have heard that the cleanliness of his rear depended on how he felt about you. Alas, Rikishi also had some serious moments in his career, including when he was thrown off the Hell in a Cell by The Undertaker at Armageddon 2000. He won numerous titles in the WWE, including the Intercontinental title and the World Tag Team Championships. Rikishi was part of a boom era in the WWE and is likely to be remembered for generations to come. At number 6, we have The Big Show. The Big Show had periods of his career when he was in amazing shape, but at one point of his career, he tipped the scales at an amazing 504 pounds. Originally promoted as the son of the legendary Andre the Giant, The Big Show had a Hall of Fame worthy career in WCW alone, where he is a former world champion. He would later go on to the WWE, where he memorably appeared from beneath the ring in a steel cage match between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon at St. Valentine's Day Massacre. He would go on to feud with top stars in the WWE, famously switching between a heel and a face. He had a feud with the Big Boss Man, another super heavyweight who did not quite make the list. Seemingly forgetting that the Big Show's father was supposed to be Andre the Giant, the Big Boss Man infamously interrupted the Big Show father's funeral, where he attacked the Big Show and drug his father's casket away. Despite this silliness, the Big Show had a memorable WWE career where his weight often fluctuated. He is now in AEW, and when he retires, he is likely to be a candidate for the WWE Hall of Fame. At number 5, we have Andre the Giant. People may be shocked as to why Andre the Giant ranks so low on this list. It's simply because this list is so competitive, and there are many super heavyweights who did not even make the list who had legendary careers. In Andre's early career, he was lighter and better able to do moves that required agility. In his latter career, he relied on his size, strength, and overall mystique to keep him at the top of the card. His build weight was an amazing 520 pounds. Most memorably, he wrestled Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3 in front of over 93,000 fans at the Pontiac Silverdome. In a rematch on television, their match drew a 15.2 Nielsen rating. We will probably never see that again in our lifetime. At number 4, we have the amazing Yokozuna. At a build weight of 589 pounds, it did not get more massive than Yokozuna. At over 500 pounds, he was able to still remain agile. Unfortunately, he lost some of this agility when he reached over 600 pounds at one point. But before then, watching Yokozuna wrestle was an amazing treat. He won the WWF Championship twice, once at WrestleMania 9 in an infamous match where Hulk Hogan in the end regained his title despite not even being on that part of the advertised card. Nonetheless, Yokozuna was able to recover from this loss, even defeating Hogan at the 1993 King of the Ring. He then had a legendary run as champion. Yokozuna was the first Samoan to step out of the wild Samoan style character, adopting a serious sumo wrestler style character. He proved that he could play the character, and this paved the way for other Samoan wrestlers such as The Rock to step away from stereotypical characters for Samoans. If we did not have Yokozuna, there's no telling what they would have tried to do with The Rock and others. At number 3, we have Big Van Vader. Vader tipped the scales at 450 pounds. Despite this, he could pull off a moonsault like Bam Bam Bigelow. Vader was infamous among his peers, wrestling quite stiff in his matches. Nonetheless, he had legendary matches against Sting, Cactus Jack, and Ric Flair. His later WWE run suffered due to injuries and health issues, and this caused many people to not truly understand how great he was. In fact, they had him call himself a fat piece of shit on television. The way the WWE treated Vader is unforgivable. If you want to see how great he was, check out his run in Japan or his WCW run prior to Hulk Hogan's appearance in the summer of 1994. Specifically, the White Castle of Fear match. Just don't watch the vignettes for that match. No, seriously, please, trust me. Do not watch the vignettes for the White Castle of Fear match. At number 2, we have Mick Foley. Foley got a lot of flack for his physical conditioning in his career, despite the fact that there was never any evidence that his excess weight hampered him in any way. At 287 pounds, he is barely big enough to make this list. Nonetheless, he was well known for being one of the top wrestlers in our industry who did not have a chiseled physique. Foley wrestled as himself, as well as Dude Love, Cactus Jack, and Mankind. He lost his ear in a match in Germany against our number 3 guy, Vader. Foley was the first exposure I had to hardcore wrestling. He later would go on to ECW and eventually the WWE, where he had one of the most infamous Hell in a Cell matches of all time against The Undertaker. He would later become the WWE champion 3 times. Unlike most deathmatch wrestlers of our time, Foley also knew how to be entertaining and use ring psychology. Because of this, his matches were always captivating, whether he had the best body or not. Finally, at number 1, we have the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes discussed the issue of his weight with the charisma that only he could muster. In his famous Hard Times promo against Ric Flair, he is quoted as saying, "And we all had hard times together, and I admit I don't look like the athlete of the day is supposed to look. My belly's just a little big, my hiney's a little big, but brother, I am bad. And they know I'm bad. There were 2 bad people. One was John Wayne, and he's dead, brother, and the other's right here." End quote. That pretty much sums up Dusty Rhodes. At 275 pounds, he was not as large as some of the other guys on this list, but he was large in many ways, and he represented guys in the industry with bellies like no one else could. The former NWA World Heavyweight Champion almost, but not quite, also won the WWF Championship. Maybe someday we will see the grandson of a plumber get that belt. We will have to wait and see. And although I have seen Dusty Rhodes wrestle in my little town in Georgia, I do not think that makes me biased about choosing him as the number 1 fat guy in the business, due to not only what he accomplished in the business, but how he influenced it afterwards. Plus War Games. That's it, folks. The top 10 fat and or plus size people in wrestling. The next time you try to body shame someone, consider the fact that wrestling history has numerous body types, and we at Ring Chronicles celebrate them all.